This is
Hello.
Sudhir, Srinivasan. This is for Cinema Express, the cinema division of the New Indian Express newspaper.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. You could perhaps start by telling me why this was treated as a companion series as opposed to a continuation of the previous one.
I had always intended to tell, once we closed out the Colombian chapters of Narcos, that we would move the show to Mexico and begin the Mexican chapters. I think one of the unique things about this season is that it can be experienced either as season 4 of Narcos or season 1 of Narcos Mexico. You can watch Narcos Mexico and then go watch seasons 1 through 3. It's slightly modular in that way.
Did you figure that maybe by treating it as a different series entirely, maybe this would again bring back a lot of audience?
I think that there was definitely because we're sort of a unique, we're not an anthology. You know, the star of our show is the main character of our show is cocaine. It's not any one trafficker or trafficking organization or even country. And so we wanted to give, obviously, returning fans the more Narcos, but we also wanted to introduce the show to new fans who might look at, well, I don't want to get caught up seasons 1, 2, and 3, you know, in order to watch 4. And so we very clearly wanted to say to them, like, no, you don't have to. You can start watching right now. Maybe to you, Mexico is less remote than Colombia, and therefore draws, you know, a larger appeal. So, you know, I'd always planned on moving the show to Mexico at some point following the evolution of the cocaine trade. When I started doing research with the team, we realized that the only way to properly tell the story of the Mexican drug trade is to start in 1980 with the founding of the Guadalajara cartel, which was sort of the first Mexican super cartel. In fact, it's the trafficking organization from which all or most of the other traffickers came from. Like Chapo Guzman, for example, was employed by the Guadalajara cartel, as was Armando Carrillo Fuentes.
How he was almost killed, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's episode 2.
Yeah. In wanting to talk about cocaine, for example, I'm sure it's not restricted to just the Mexicans. Was your choice of the Mexican cartel in a way influenced by the ongoing political climate?
No. If anything, the ongoing political climate is moving us dramatically further away from the only solution to the drug problem, which is to focus on the demand, on addiction, on the healthcare crisis.
So you do believe there's a solution, because I was going to ask you if you ever...
Yes, but
there
is a solution. I don't think we will ever arrive at it. Yeah. But I believe that the only way is to focus on what is a healthcare crisis, global healthcare crisis, which is drug addiction. And instead of punishing drug addicts by putting them in jail, actually treating the root of the problem, which is the demand, largely the American demand, but it's everywhere. And the same cocaine, and I think one thing that appeals to a global audience is that we're all connected through this drug trade. The same cocaine that you're going to find in Mumbai, you'll find in Los Angeles, in Tokyo, in Sydney, in London.
Right.
And again, the same policies that all of our governments employ of focusing on the supply and not on the demand is leading us further and further from where we need to be.
Once you decided to explore a story which is driven by 2 main narratives,
yes.
which is of the DEA
yes.
Person, and of course the rise of a drug lord by the
yes.
state. Were there any concerns that maybe this may start to sound a bit similar to the approach you took with the first 3 seasons?
We always look very specifically at what worked, what people liked about the first 3 seasons, and try to give a little bit of that, certainly in terms of the tone, in terms of the style, but then narratively we need to depart significantly from that, lest people feel like, oh, now I'm watching the same thing over again. Season 3, for example, was a thriller. It was not, it had very little relationship with seasons 1 and 2. It was tonally and stylistically, yes, it had some similarities, but it was a different experience. This is in turn an even an even more different experience in that you're watching a guy who, building an empire and actually building an empire for what he claims is one reason, but in reality we see by the end you realize that he's doing it for a whole different reason.
Maybe as the last question I can ask
Sure.
you this. This war is clearly predominantly led by men, right? Of
Yes.
two sides. I mean, you have the DEA people on one
Yeah.
side, you have all the cartels on the
Yes.
other. In such stories, how do you write the story to give agency to the women or to portray strong women?
Yeah.
This led largely by men.
Sure. It is not just a male-dominated field, drug trafficking. It is also a male-dominated culture.
Right.
The Latin culture has for many years been dominated by men, and continues to be in many ways. So that when you do have a character like, Dolly Moncada, for example, in seasons 1 and 2, or this season, Isabella, played by Teresa Ruiz, or Maria Elvira, played by Fernanda Arajola, these are incredibly strong women who are brought into this world often not by their own choosing.
Right.
There are a few, this season particularly, you have a few women who are in it for themselves, and that's kind of, fun to play. But it is largely it has been the last 3 seasons, largely a male-dominated
Because
story.
someone's going to watch it and always talk about how this has failed the best to test, for example.
Yes, yeah, we get that all the time. We each year we do a little better, and we certainly try to, but it's never an easy thing in this subject matter to cover. It's not a particularly feminine world.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.